Hello, beginner jazzman! I'm with you again, teacher and saxophonist Andrei Stepanov, LuckySAX. I'm glad for your perseverance in learning jazz skills. I can't wait to give you some very important and useful advice. Don't stop honing the exercises that I give you every lesson, forgetting about improvisation. Don't allow yourself to turn into a person who does great exercises, but postpones the use of his creative energy for tomorrow. Try to use the base of our classes in parallel to try recognizable techniques in practice. Improvise listening to your favorite compositions, even if you use only a few notes of the mode. The longest musical phrase starts with one note. So, in previous lessons, we have worked out the most important triad, the tonic chord, which is built on the first degree of tonality. Each piece of music has its own tonic chord, but music is not based on just one chord. Today we will take a new step in mastering the art of improvisation. We will learn the triad of the fifth degree. This is the brightest, most emotional chord in color, and it's called the dominant. To begin with, I propose to analyze our musical example. It consists of the four measures you're already familiar with and sounds like this. Unlike the previous exercises, where the tonic was indicated above each bar, we see the classical musical designation of the fifth dominant step in the form of the Roman numeral 5. Pay close attention to the notation above the bars in the musical examples. These are your tips that will tell you exactly which chord you need to play at the moment. In the key of C major, the main notes of the dominant triad are G, B, D. It is their reproductive performance that we will practice in today's lesson, which will develop your skills. Let's start as always with whole notes. So listen to my example and then come up with your own. Great! The fact that you practice scales, chords, patterns does not mean that you will sound tight and mechanical, or that you will become a jazz legend. But it's a means to an end. More than anything else, the jazz tradition is based on listening. Listening to jazz recordings should be an integral part of every musician's daily honing of their skills. Not only because listening is fun, but also because you can learn a huge number of different musical ideas from recordings and incorporate them into your solo. The sound recordings contain most of the answers you are looking for. It is for this reason that I will leave in the description of the video a list of legendary tenor saxophone performers. Be sure to listen to at least one song of each of them. And we move on to the next stage. improvisation within the framework of the dominant chord with half durations. Let me remind you that these are durations that last 2 beats of the metronome, 1 and 2 and. So let's listen to my example first, then try to improvise your own. You are great fellows! I'm glad of your success! I would like to remind you that I am currently recruiting for a basic jazz training course. All you need to do in order to join is to write on social media about your desire. You can find links to social media in the description of the video. It is possible that your improvisation will appear in our next video lesson. And now, let's move on to the next exercise. We continue to study the chord of the dominant triad. Now we will add quarter durations. Let me remind you that quarter durations are those that last only 1 beat of the metronome. Listen to my example, then you improvise your own. I'm glad to see your new achievement. You need to know that having a good ear means hearing the bass of a sounding chord, the character of a fret or chord, that is, to distinguish major from minor, to determine the mode of a minor, to hear pentatonics, a reduced whole tone scale. This means the ability to name the step of a mode or chord that sounds at this moment in a solo. Now sharpen 4th scale degree resolved at 6th and then at 5th. This means hearing the piano, bassist, soloist individually and in an ensemble. I remind you again that listening to examples of jazz performers is strictly necessary. Only by listening and compare their examples can you learn to hear yourself, compose your brilliant improvisations. And now we will move on to a new exercise. In it, we will play our 3 dominant notes with smaller 8th durations. While 1 beat of the metronome lasts, you must manage to play 2 8th notes each. So listen to my example, then proceed to create your own. Bravo! I'm sure that you have reached a new level of your own genius. I want to tell you about the musical ear. There are many levels of hearing. Some may just hear it, others can hear for real, and someone, it seems, can immediately understand everything that sounds and sing or play a phrase after the soloist. How do they do it if we can't always understand even the time signature of the piece? These people had difficulty developing the ability to recognize the most diverse sounds they hear every day. Since they went to improvise, they spent a long time trying to reproduce the sounds they hear on their instrument. They also connect their minds and take the time to hone their music in terms of harmony, melody, and rhythm. The tuner device is very useful in recognizing tonics, especially in the absence of a piano or your instrument. You can carry it with you and train your hearing on the go. No one knows, and no one can even imagine the amount of thoughts that every jazz musician puts into his art. Basically, you can download one of great variety of free tuner apps to your mobile phone. And now we move on to the next stage, improvisation in 16th durations. During one beat of the metronome, 4 16th notes should sound. I'm sure that your skill has grown significantly and you will be able to complete this exercise. Go ahead! Honor and praise! You have achieved another result on the path of learning. In the final part of today's lesson, I want to give you 10 practical recommendations that will be useful even for very advanced performers. Play with good sound. The advice to the wind players is to reach the sound. Don't play short sounds like a bouncing ball. Let the phrases sound natural, even when you are learning the modes and exercises. While playing scales, exercises, patterns, sing them to yourself. If the exercise is difficult, play it slowly and gradually accelerate the tempo. Listen to every note you play. Mark the ideas that come to your mind. Be patient. You are not the first to make mistakes. Play exercises and scales with jazz articulation. Improvise a little bit every day. It's really you. Play your own music, whatever comes to your mind. Make it a rule to practice in all 12 keys. Remember everything you can. Always be aware of what you are trying to play. If musicians waited until they reached perfection, no one would ever play and there would be no music. Play the best instruments you can afford. Learn from the best teachers. Download examples and backing tracks about the links from the video description. But that's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comments. Use your imagination, experiment and take risks. You deserve to be creative.